Yo, you already know what time it is. It's Cigars and Coffee, baby. Cigars and Coffee. And we are here for another P&E edition. And I have a very special guest today, Miss Candace Ford from LLC Cigars. Candace, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me today. It's an honor to be here with you today.
That's it. Look, so before we get started, we met at the Throne for an event for my fraternity, and I met you there, and you had your booth set up, and you can go to my Instagram page to see the video. But my first time basking in one of these LLC cigars, I was blown away. So I just want to tell you, I thank you for what you do and for you being a Black woman in this industry.
Absolutely.
I really do thank you. So let's get started, Candace. So where were you born? Where'd you grow up? What was childhood like?
Well, I'm a small town girl.
Okay.
I was born and raised in Beaumont, Texas.
Okay.
Yeah, B-Town.
B-Town?
Big
Okay.
West, Texas.
Okay.
You know.
Gotcha.
Went to school there, ran track and field, got a
Athlete.
Yes, athlete. Got a track scholarship.
Okay.
To Louisiana, where I ran track there for 4
What
years.
school?
Raging Cajuns.
ULL.
Yes.
Oh, what? It's another name that they called it back in the day, but it probably
Used to be USL, Southwest Louisiana.
There you go.
Yes.
There you go.
Yes.
Wow, how crazy is that? I played baseball at Southern University.
Oh, you did? Okay. I know y'all used to come
Jaguar.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I know all about that exit 100, 101. Yeah, all that. Yeah.
Absolutely. Went to school there. Got my degree in chemistry. Then I moved to Houston.
Chemistry.
Yes, absolutely. I was in a pharmaceutical business.
Okay.
We made like different pharmaceutical intermediates.
Gotcha.
So then from there, just made my life in Houston. Wow. Lived here, got married, started my family.
Cool.
And that's and I'm Houston hometown now.
Okay. And you know what? Most people from Beaumont, it's almost like it's the next move in life. I feel I've seen a lot of people come from Beaumont and just adopt Houston as their hometown.
Absolutely.
Right? It's kind of like Port Arthur as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like you look at Bun B. He's from Port Arthur, but he reps Houston.
He does.
So, so chemistry.
Yeah.
What? So when you were in school, what made you choose chemistry?
I knew that I always liked science. Wow. Mixing stuff, putting stuff together. I've always liked that. But at first I thought I wanted to be a doctor. Then I went to, in college you flip-flop. Then I was like, I want to be a pharmacist. And then I was going to be a PA. Okay. But then I knew on scholarship, I had to pick like a 4-year degree.
You have to.
And they're not going to pay for medical school. So I was like, okay, let me go ahead and get my degree in chemistry.
Got you. Yeah. So walk me through being a student athlete at ULL.
Ooh. I can honestly sit here and say that my college life was fun. It's something about being an athlete and in school, like it's so important. It gives you discipline. It gives you structure. It gives you focus. It gives you people skills. So for me, it was a blessing. Like one of the greatest times of my life, college. If I could go back, that's a time that I would pick.
Okay. So what event did you run in track?
I ran the 1, the 2, and the relays.
So you could pick them up and put them down real quick.
I used to back in the day. Back in the day. You go back to Bowen and ask somebody, and my name will come up. Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
That is awesome. So you graduate from ULL. You said you got into the medical field or in pharmaceutical. What was that journey like?
Man, it honestly laid. Now that I look back in hindsight, it laid the foundation for kind of like where I am now. Because I'm in the cigar business now, which is a male-dominated industry. When I was in that field, it was a male-dominated industry.
Right.
Because you didn't see too many women working at plants, let alone a black woman. So all of my people that worked under me were men. So I've always had to like prove myself in my business, like showing that I can be. I'm smart enough to be here. I'm smart enough to be your boss. You know, so for me, it kind of laid the foundation for where I'm at now. Now that I look back in hindsight, where I was then.
And you know what? You say all that, and the thing that is that you also had against you was the color of your skin.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it was like always having to prove myself that I'm supposed to be here. And not just because I'm a woman or because I'm black, but because I'm supposed to. My resume speaks for itself.
You know, I interviewed Deshaun Jones, and he said his DEI is definitely earned it. Instead of diversity, equity, and inclusion,
Absolutely.
definitely earned it. Wow,
Mhm.
that's awesome. So you speak about family. When did you meet your husband? How did the family breakdown come about?
It came about. We actually met because he went to school at UT.
Okay.
He's a
UT.
Longhorn, yeah. And we met at Texas Relays. Ironically, a track and field event.
How ironic.
A track and field event. We met there, but that was after we were done in school. But it was just I was going there to watch the track meet.
Gotcha.
And he was there because he had just recently had surgery. Because he is an ex-professional basketball player. He had surgery, and we were there, and we met, and it took a while. It wasn't just like because of who he was. I kind of was like in my mindset, like let me stay away from that and let me, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And then he was very persistent.
I hear you.
He was persistent. And it was just like history from there. Like, yeah.
He's from Missouri City, right?
Yeah, he's from Mo City. Originally, he was born in Baytown, another small, and then his mom chose Mo City to make it their home.
He is a Missouri City, H-Town, Texas legend. Salute to you, bro.
That he is.
So you guys get married. When does the family dynamic take place and you start having little ones and all that good stuff?
We started having our little ones here in Houston.
Okay.
At that time, he was playing with the Milwaukee Bucks.
Okay. Awesome.
And then from there, like, it was a big transition for me because I had to move there with him in the cold, having a family by myself because he's on the road. Basketball season, he's on the road. So literally, I was there by myself because I do everything by myself. I've never had a nanny. I don't do any of that. So I'm very hands-on with my children, with everything. That's just me. So it was a big transition, but I wouldn't have any other way.
That's awesome.
Any other way.
That's awesome.
And then from there, we kind of bounced around a couple places, but we knew for sure that Houston would always be our home.
Wow. So you have your kids, and Houston is your home. What does that look like career-wise at that point, or did you take a back seat? Did your career take a back seat from you being?
It did.
Okay.
Because being with a man like that, you have to give all your attention to him. And it's not in a bad way.
Right.
It's just you're obligated to do so much. It's almost like people don't understand that you're sharing your significant other with the world. So sometimes you have to take a back seat, and it takes a special kind of woman or man to be with someone on that level because you're sharing this person and trying to find time to manage when he's not doing appearances, when he's not playing. It's an adjustment. But like I said, for me, maybe God just wanted me to do that. And then after some time, you start kind of losing yourself. Like, what's my purpose? What am I supposed to do? And I went through that transition. Like, I know I'm just not supposed to be just a wife. I know I'm not. I have more in me. And I've always kind of like had an entrepreneurship spirit. So at that moment, I was like, Candace, what are you going to do? What does Candace look like 10 years from now? I know what Miss Ford looks like, but what does Candace look like 10 years from now? So then I was like, okay, I'm going to go back to school. Went back to school, got my master's.
Master's in?
Economic development and entrepreneurship. Because I knew that that's the direction that I wanted to go. I could have got an MBA, but that's just so broad. But I knew that I wanted to make a difference in my community and what I needed to do to get that.
And one thing that I want to commend you on is, you look at athletes' spouses. I'm not just going to say athletes' wives, but athlete spouses. You could have easily said, hey, this is my life. We're good. We don't,
Absolutely.
But I commend you on finding your purpose inside of that and saying, you know what, I'm gonna go back to school because that that is going to school. Period is difficult,
It's
but
difficult.
going to school after you've already started a family.
And I was pregnant, mind you, because it took me 2 years.
Yeah,
so the first year I was pregnant, still going to school.
Really?
Yes.
Tell me about that. What were some of those challenges while you were in school and pregnant, knowing that you already have the things that most people would go to school for?
Yeah.
Right.
Then you have people saying, "Why are you going to school? You have all this. What do you want to do that
Exactly.
for?"
That's what I want to know.
Exactly. But
what was that experience?
Because I knew I want to say more for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I knew that I had kids. And I know a lot of people, it's cliche to say, oh, you know, as parents, you want to be proud of your kids. But no, me as a mother, I wanted my kids to be proud of me. So I want a legacy for my kids to go back and say, my mom was this, my grandma, my great grandma, laid this foundation. So for me, I was like, I need to get off my ass and do what I need to do. Wow. And I knew that's when I wanted to start a business.
That's awesome. Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Speaking of business, so when did you have before we get into that, when did you get into cigars?
I would sit here and say, I've been liking cigars since I've been a baby. Not a baby, but young.
Yeah.
Because my grandfather and my great-grandfather used to smoke them and drink coffee all the time.
You are
And I would go in there and I would just like the smell of it. And they'd be like, Candy, get out of here, because they call me Candy. Candy, get out of here. And I just would like to just go in there and just smell cigars. So once I got older, I was like, what's the things that they were trying? Let me try one of them because I
right.
And then I tried it. And then I liked it. And I've been hooked ever since because I've been smoking cigars for over 15, 16 years. And then I was like, one day, it clicked. I was outside on my patio. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to start my own cigar line. My own blend. I can do this, regardless of what everybody else saying. At that moment, I was like, that's what it is. I'm going to start my own business, my cigar line.
I'm going to tell you something. I'm not saying this just because we're recording this episode right now, but you mentioned being on your back patio. And that's when the idea came to you. Mm-hmm. That location at my house is the birth of Cigars and Coffee.
Wow. On the patio.
Literally, my first year and a half, for a year and a half straight, I literally recorded episodes, little 5-minute episodes, every week without stopping. And it was to the point where people were like, hey, are you recording those every day? Because I'm putting them out so frequent, and it's just like boom, boom, boom. I had guys ask me, I said, do you work? Like, how are you smoking cigars every day? Right. Like, it's not, but on the patio.
On the patio. Wow. And then the next day, I was on a patio again, and I was like, okay, so what's your game plan? How are we going to do this? Because I knew I liked cigars, but to be in that business was like foreign to me. And then I was like, are people going to take me serious? Like, I didn't even know where to literally start. And I sat on it for a couple months. And then another day, it was like, either you're going to do it or you're not. And then at that moment, I knew, okay, I'm going to DR, I'm going here, I'm going there until I can figure out what it is, how I'm going to set this business up.
So what I'm hearing is you laid out a game plan and you executed it and put in the work. What did that work look like?
And I want to tell people all the time, I put in the work. I'm not one that's going to go find a cigar that I like and just slap my label on it. I'm not going to do that because I feel like it's not authentic. If I'm going to sell my brand, it's going to be my brand, not someone else's brand. That's just my point of view. Yeah. So I did my research, came up with different blends until I found the manufacturer that I wanted to use. I could have went with somebody larger. I could have went with somebody smaller. I chose somebody smaller because I'm an authentic person. I like one-on-one interactions with people. So I felt comfortable with the manufacturer that I had a more one-on-one relationships with. Yeah. I mean, and it's been a struggle, but I'm very hands-on with my business. Like, and business is hard. Like, you always have hiccups, and you got to try to pivot and figure out how you're going to get out of that because I knew I had a launch date. And then when I went to DR, because my cigars are out of DR.
Okay.
Out of Santiago.
Mm.
And the issue that I had, the cigars were ready, but my labels wasn't ready.
Okay.
And I was like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? And they was like, we can have them in time,
Mm-hmm.
but we won't be able to put them on. So I'm like, freak, what am I gonna do? So I recruited, and I literally had a cigar workshop in my house a week before my cigar launch. And I had my girlfriends, and we went to DR maybe like a month prior, and they showed us how to literally do it. So I had like 10 of my friends in my room, and we're hand rolling and putting these labels on it, you know. So I literally can sit there and say, I hand touched my first batch of cigars myself. Awesome. Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna put in the work. Like whatever I need to do, I'm gonna do.
But even business wise, you know, you hear about the franchise owner of McDonald's, right? And they always say, "Hey, I want to be the guy who touches the fries, who knows how to do the fries. I want to be able to flip the burgers and know what that's like. So that way, when I become the owner, I'm not gonna ask you to do anything that I haven't already done, and you can't BS me on this subject right now. So you literally put on the labels yourself.
And we put them in the plastic. We did everything. Bubbled them up and everything.
Wow. So what when you were going to different locations, what made you land on DR?
I've always liked DR. I mean, I like other brands.
Okay.
For me, the taste of the tobacco is to my palate. I prefer that one. You know, and then you know you have the Cuban seeds or whatever. Mm-hmm. Their soil to me is what I prefer. So that's what I went with.
When we talk about soils and cigars and things like that, soil plays such a huge part in cigars.
Absolutely.
Without having a good soil, that I think that DR probably is one of the best places for soil for cigar. It's a known fact across the cigar industry. So kudos to you on that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. So when you first started, what was your first cigar?
My first cigar I ever tried?
No, when you first started your line.
It was my Lancero, which I call the CEO. Because I was like, they don't have a lot of those, you know, and you don't see like a lot of Lancero. So I was like, that's gonna be my baby, the CEO. And I feel like it's sleek. A woman looks sexy doing it. You know, it's just something about a smooth, sleek, small Lancero.
A Lancero is at first when I first started smoking cigars, long time ago, I would see, I need a big ring gauge. But that's the male ego, that know, all of that stuff. But once I finally sat down with someone and he was able to educate me on the Lancero, he's like, I'm like, man, why are you smoking this skinny cigar, man? You know, he's like, well, this is actually how you get the best flavor from your cigar.
Absolutely.
And I was like, what?
Yeah.
Like, smoke this one. This is a different ring gauge. And then smoke this Lancero.
Yeah.
And I was like, completely different taste.
Because they're rolled a little tighter, so you get the full flavor of the cigar.
Yeah. She knows what she's talking about. She knows what she's talking about. Yeah. Okay. So after you get the Lancero, the CEO, why did you come up with that name?
Because the name of my cigars is LLC Cigars. Stands for Lady Love Cigars, because we do. But it's based on the business premise. A CEO, a director, a founder, a chairman. Positions in an LLC business. So that's why the name CEO.
Wow. So which one is your favorite?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
They are your babies.
They are my babies.
Look, is it like parenting where we all love them equally?
I do. So I'm seasonal with mine.
Okay.
Because I have 4.
Gotcha.
I will say that my top 2. I don't want to tell them my others. I love them all, honestly, but I can't sit here and say, like, I notice, like, in the spring and the summer, I'm more like on my Lanceros.
Gotcha.
In the winter, I have a Maduro called the Chairman that I'm on. And then, of course, one of my fan favorites is the director.
Facts. Big facts.
A lot of men like the director. That's one of the fan favorites.
Look, in my first time smoking one of Candace Ford's cigars, I smoked the cigar, and I'm like, it's a full body cigar. And she's like, yeah, that's our director. It's a full body. I was like, yeah, I know it is. It's hitting my palate as a full body cigar. And anytime I think about LLC cigars, I think about class. I think about y'all don't hold nothing back. I know you like he always say that, but for to be in a male dominated lane, and for you to still have something that's like, yeah, we about that life too.
Yeah.
It's an amazing thing, because you could have easily went with a Java type sweet tip cigars and catered to ladies, but you have a wide variety of cigars that cater to all.
Yes.
So I appreciate that.
Well, thank you, and I'm glad you enjoyed the cigar.
Oh yeah. So which one are we smoking here today?
This is the Founder. This is my Robusto. This is the one I'm on right now. Like I said, I'm kind of seasonal, but I like this one. It's nice, it's smooth, it ashes well. It's not too harsh, because I try not to do too harsh. Like I said, I want to include the ladies because we are tapping into this industry with the men. You know, we consider the big boys table too, and like a nice stogie.
And I'll tell you that in my time in the cigar industry, I have been shocked at the amount of women that are in, and I'm not just talking about for, let's say, a Houston Cigar Week or a Houston Cigar Festival or Atlanta Cigar Week or Atlanta, everywhere. It's sort of like y'all are like in the rap game now, and y'all are the females who are taking place now. It's an awesome thing to see.
We're tapping more into the cigar industry market with our dollars and with everything. You have more women that are owning their own lounges, that are creating their own cigar lines. You also have women that are making accessories, you know, to make it more cute for women and more, you know. So we're tapping more and more into the cigar market now with our dollars.
That's true.
Too.
That's true. Because you go to a cigar lounge in, especially Houston right now, and it is, the ratio is about 50%, right?
And men are more welcoming too. I mean, back in the day, you see a woman with a stick and you're like, oh, you smoke that? But now it's like, you know, it's more welcoming.
Exactly.
Because to me, it just represents, like, I won't sit here and just say class all the time because they try to put that luxury on it.
Right.
But for me, when I smoke a cigar, it's a time for me to be able to network and have conversations. I mean, heartfelt conversations with people. You can go into a cigar lounge and you know you're going to sit there for 30 to 45 minutes and have a conversation with someone. And not just, we're on our phone, we're doing this or whatever, but it's a conversational piece.
That's it. You know, when I first got into the interview lane, it was like, man, well, what am I gonna do with Cigars and Coffee? And had a conversation with Jacoby Barrefield, owner of Legacy Cigar and Lounge. Shout out to you, brother. And it went from me just having this talk in front of the camera one-on-one to now I'm talking to someone, having that conversation. So you're absolutely right about that. So what's next for LLC?
What's next for LLC? Well, a whole lot, because I have this stuff in vision. But for LLC, we're trying to create a culture in the cigar world, not just going to different lounges and smoking it. But I feel like when you smoke a cigar, you really should educate yourself on the culture behind cigars, like how they're made, what they're made, you know, like, and just creating that safe space for men and women to do it on a whole nother level is like where LLC is going to go.
That's awesome. You know, I want to take this time to thank you again, because you reached out to me after I posted the video, and you're like, hey, I want you to host an event for me. And I'm like, cool, well, yeah, I host events, let's do it. And when I had the conversation with you, I'm like, hey, so, you know, what made you choose me to host your event? And you said, your energy. And I appreciate that. I appreciate the opportunity. I've hosted events before, but for you and I to just meet and off of one conversation, you're like, hey, I want you to host this event. We had an amazing event, might I add, at a beautiful cigar lounge, and I really want to thank you for that.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming because, like I said, cigars go hand in hand with things. It's always like a pairing, whether it's who you're smoking with, what you're drinking. Like we both like to drink coffee with us. That's my
Yeah.
pairing or beverage of choice.
Yeah.
So it was just like a unique pairing, and
That's
it
it.
worked,
That's
and
it.
it's still working. So
That's
I
it.
appreciate you having me on today. I appreciate you hosting, but and looking forward to the future.
That's it. That's it. Well, speaking of coffee, I have to highlight our coffee sponsors for today.
It is delicious.
Slow Drip, Texas. You know, if you're ever in downtown Houston, definitely pop into Slow Drip, Texas, right off of Main Street. Amazing coffee. And while we're talking about sponsors, we're at a beautiful location today. We are at A1 Cigar Lounge, and it the chairs just it even feels
It's a
very
whole
right?
vibe.
It's a whole vibe in here.
Vibe in here, and I love it. I love it.
Right.
I love it.
So with that being said, Candace Ford, I really, really appreciate you for joining me today. I thank you for sharing a bit of your story, sharing your awesome cigars.
Oh yes, yes, yes.
And I look forward to what's to come in the future.
Absolutely.
Before we end, where can they find you?
They can find us. You can get our cigars at different cigar lounges here in Houston. First choice would be online. You can get them at www.llcigars.com. We're on Instagram at LLC Cigars and Facebook as well. So reach out to us and try some of our sticks.
You won't be disappointed. That's all I'm gonna say. All right. Well, Candace, thank you so much for
Thank you again. Thank
right.
you. Thank you.
This is Dick McKnight, Cigars and Coffee. Y'all be blessed. Peace.